In a Violent Nature is a movie made by someone who thinks that subverting expectations means it's good. It is a movie that subverts the expectations of the horror trope. It subverts your expectation on what should be good sound design, good music scoring, good cinematography, and overall, what a good movie is. It's a movie that hopes you're so insecure that when you watch the movie, you won't understand what's going on. So you'll say it's good because you don't want to look stupid. You don't want to be negative. This is a film for people who eat bologna at least once a week. Because bologna is a junk food that is not healthy for you, nor is it particularly tasty. So the person who eats bologna every week is the type of person who doesn't have enough taste to pick junk food that's at least tasty. It's for people without taste. Made by someone who took a film class and thinks because he understands the basic symbolisms and tropes of a movie that makes him smart. The movie is so bad that I forgot what it's called. In a Violent Nature is a movie that ultimately I found to be subverting in all expectations, even in it being good. Casey, what did you think of In a Violent Nature?
Well, I feel bad in the sense that the reason we watched it, gentle viewers, is because of me.
It's because of him, folks.
So I know how to pick him. This
Right.
movie is very frustrating to me because those parts of it I really liked. I genuinely popped at the movie laughing my ass off. But the few and far between. The DMV has more of a pulse than this movie has at times. To say it's a slow burn is an insult to slow burns. This movie just goes like its main character at a pace of a corpse.
Right. We should have, needless to say, it was a tough watch. Just to give you, the viewer, the background of the film. What if they made a movie from the point of view of a killer? You would hear that. I imagine the person who made this movie smokes weed and goes to parties and fucks bimbos, and I can see him at a party talking to someone and going like, what if they made like a horror movie, but it was from the point of view of the killer, and there's so much weed in his body and so much weed in the woman he's trying to fuck that she just goes, oh my God, that's like crazy. You came up with that? Yeah, I like make films, and I'm like, what if they made like a movie, but from the point of view of the killer? Wow, oh my God, I've never heard that. You're so smart. And then they fuck, and that gives him the confidence to fall. We've all had bad ideas for movies. I've had bad ideas for movies. You know, I thought, hey, what if they made a movie about superheroes, but it took place in reality? You know, I don't think anyone's ever done that. It's pretty stupid, but you know, this man unfortunately probably gets enough pussy to where he's confident enough to think that his stupid ideas are good. John Hamm from 30 Rock made this movie. Someone so good looking that no one's ever told him that he's stupid, or they are stupid, or wrong, or have bad ideas and bad instincts when it comes to film and don't understand film in general. Now, we've talked too much. I want to get to the plot synopsis of this movie. But before we get into it, I just want to say that my theory is that this movie was made by a pothead who goes to parties and fucks dumb women and also plays the game Dead by Daylight. I can imagine him at a party smoking weed, playing Dead by Daylight, being the killer, being Jason or Freddy or Pinhead or whoever he is, and being like, dude, what if they made a freaking whole movie from the point of view of the killer? Oh, that'd be so sick, dude. Fucking sick. And it's not sick. A lot of the movie, so the movie begins, which at first I thought might have been clever, but now looking back, I realize is stupid. The movie opens on a window. It sticks on this window for way too long, and you're bored instantly. You hear two people talking. I can't remember about what, because this movie isn't worth remembering. But the idea of the window, for viewers, in case you've never been to film school or you have an IQ of less than 100, is it's about framing. Get it? We open on a window frame because this movie is about subverting your expectations. It's reframing the horror film. You have something to say, Casey?
The movie begins with a long shot of just like a windowsill in a forest. You hear your characters talk, but you don't see them, and it's for a very important reason. These are not the main characters because they're not framed for your attention to see. And by the time they get to
that's what makes it smart. Go on.
And by the time they get to their frame, all you see is their hand. You don't even see their faces because they don't matter to the movie. And by the time you see the main killer, Johnny, he's perfectly framed because he's your main character.
Yeah, just hold your mic up a little bit closer.
Okay.
Yeah, and then also speak a little louder. Exactly. So the first scene is clever because it's on a framing. We then see one of the characters take a gold necklace. Now this is the catalyst of the entire movie. He takes one of the characters, he takes the necklace, and then the serial killer wakes up. This is where the film becomes a simulator of Grand Theft Auto because you're just watching an over-the-shoulder shot of a guy walking in a forest. It truly, I have to be honest with you. If you watch this movie, you are watching a best of the worst movie. It is so bad. And I get what they're going for. It's very clever. But the problem is it's not good. So he's walking. Where does he go?
This movie has him beginning that he walks towards the Campbells.
The dickhead. He goes to the number one motherfucker. That's the hat he has. And he has a necklace that says the number one motherfucker. So if you think about it, in theory, before we go on to this character, so it's Jason Voorhees. It's not supposed to be Jason Voorhees, but it's clearly Jason Voorhees. The main character, the killer, he goes to a guy's house and you can hear him arguing with a police officer.
And he's trying to act all tough, saying, if I leave those traps outside,
yeah,
I'll deal with it.
The police officer is like, you can't leave traps out. It's bad. And then the guy who's like, I don't give a shit. I don't care. I'm a dickhead. Blah, blah, blah. You get off my property, Ranger. He's a ranger and everything.
And the ranger says an appropriate line, we better be lucky something doesn't get past those traps and it might get to you.
Yeah, the ranger's literally like, you better hope there's no killer out there or you're going to get your comeuppance. And then he leaves. I have to go now. Goodbye. And the whole time, it's this boring over-the-shoulder shot of the killer. And again, it's really lazy filmmaking. It's really boring. It's just an over-the-shoulder shot. And I can imagine the douchebag who made this being like, no, it's sick because, like, it's just all over his shoulder, dude. Like, you can't even see them freaking talking, bro. It's going to be so sick.
Darren Aronofsky would do these type of shots in The Swan and the Wrestler, but the difference is he's a great filmmaker who knows what he's doing, and it's not just entirely these shots. It's build-up shots to different scenes, but this movie is nothing but those shots.
Yeah, Darren Tartakovsky is sick. I really liked when he made Aquaman versus the Sand Wizard. Yeah, so you get the first kill of the movie now. We're at the part of the first kill. It's the mean dickhead asshole, which if you've seen a horror movie, you know, like, there's always an asshole in the beginning of the movie who dies, so the audience doesn't have to feel bad. Now, here's an important part where the subversion could have actually been good. What if we actually learned something about the asshole? Oh, by the way, he's such an asshole. He wears a hat that says number one motherfucker. and he has a necklace that says number one motherfucker. Because again, the main character, Jason Voorhees, the Jason Voorhees of the movie. I don't know what to call him. The killer? Yeah, the killer.
Johnny.
Johnny the killer.
Before we go forward, there was a quick scene of Johnny stealing.
Hold on. We'll get to that. The main guy, he has a hat. It says number one motherfucker, and he has a necklace that says number one motherfucker. And the killer, Johnny, he thinks it's the necklace he's looking for, but it's not. And it really makes you think that this guy custom made that necklace and that hat. Like, he is the number one motherfucker. That's his character's name. So he dies first. What were you going to say?
There's a quick shot of Johnny staring at a window, at a painting, like a picture, and he sees a flashback of his dad going, "Use the necklace, Johnny. Make sure you keep it safe." And that's all the motivation this undead boy needs.
Right, yeah, which, in terms of like horror movies, it's not the most ridiculous thing in the world. Freddy Krueger is like a pedophile that reached his full potential. Michael Myers from Halloween is just a dick. He's just a jerk. People come in different shapes, and some people are jerks. So yeah, Johnny in this one, the killer, he's looking for a necklace. And it's just, God, even just talking about this movie is rough. I mean, we were originally going to watch Abigail, and I thought that could be fun. We could tear it apart. I think I don't like Abigail, but Jesus Christ. I mean, that movie was so much better than this. Watch Abigail. Don't watch this. Anyway, so Jason Voorhees sees the number one motherfucker, and he's like, "What you doing? What are you doing in my swamp, in my shitty house?" And then he shoots him. Obviously, it doesn't kill him because we all know the horror tropes. You can't kill the bad guy with a gun. He runs into the forest, and surprise, surprise, Irony City, he gets caught in one of his own traps. Johnny, Jason Voorhees, whatever you want to call him, the killer, he goes up and he kills him. We don't get to see it. It just cuts to black because this movie doesn't believe in fun. So he kills that guy. He walks back, and then what happens after that?
This movie blends in for me, to be honest. He just walks. He gets the hat. He gets some stuff.
He doesn't get the hat yet. You're cutting ahead.
I mean, I'm trying to remember because it all blends.
It blends together. It's really tough for you to remember because you're just watching a guy walk from behind a shoulder view. It's like watching somebody play Grand Theft Auto. Truly and honestly, you have any idea how consequenceless it is in Grand Theft Auto to just walk up and kill somebody? It means nothing, right? And it's boring. If you're at your friend's house and you're watching someone play Grand Theft Auto, you're kind of bored, especially if they're just walking around killing people. This is what this movie is. The guy who made this movie plays too many video games. He played Dead by Daylight too much, and his brain fried. And you think the Dead by Daylight thing I'm forcing, but later on there's going to be a part with the gasoline tank, which is in Dead by Daylight, and it'll really crystallize as to where the inspiration came from. So it's just the most boring shot of a guy walking. It's behind the shoulder, and eventually he runs into the campers, and they're all sitting at a fire. And you truly have no sympathy for these people. They're boring and dull. If anything, the movie deserves credit for making realistic people. Because if you were a serial killer and you were watching a bunch of people in their 20s sit around a fire and talk, you would find their lives to be so pedestrian and so mundane that you would feel nothing for them. Truly and honestly, this is a movie you should watch if you want to become a psychopath. The movie sees people with no real... Like, the movie was made by the main character in American Psycho. Somebody who doesn't see people as people and will feed his cat to the ATM machine. So we're at the fireplace, and what happens?
Well, at this point, we need what every movie needs. A good old backstory for your villain. And it's close enough.
Main character.
Oh, your main character. The villains are the teens. Right. And you find out that he used to be at a fighter camp or a lumber yard, but they keep calling it a camp, even though it's a place of work. Yeah, it's so confusing.
You're like, wait a minute, it's a camp for lumberjacks, like adult men who go to summer camp? I'm not really sure. It's a lumberjack camp, right?
Yeah, and the lumberjacks don't like the kid. Apparently, he's fucking annoying. He farts in the food.
Okay. Well, here's the thing. So we have to get into some liberalization and modern times. The kid is slow. Johnny, who is the kid, he's slow, and one of the characters wants to use the R word. We're gonna use it here. It's retarded. He wants to say the word retarded, but the movie doesn't let him, and he's like, and one of the girls is like, "I'm gonna film you while you're saying the retard.
You
You
cancel me?
fucking stupid little white bitch." And so yeah, Johnny is slow, and his dad runs like some shop, and I guess he's like ripping off the lumberjacks. He's like charging them an extra $250 for stuff. Did you ever see that Malcolm in the Middle episode when Reese is in Alaska and he works for some mean woman and she upcharges everybody who goes into there because she's like the only rest camp cabin in that part of Alaska? I guess it's like that.
But that was entertaining.
Yeah. So the lumberjacks get mad and they decide to scare the mentally challenged child. They lure the child to a tower because they tell him there's a bag of toys. So they're outsmarting him. They're like, "There's a bag of toys up in this tower," and he's like, "Okay." I'm assuming before he turns into a killer, he's just that kid from Crank Yankers, the one who used to go, "Yay!" So I'm just assuming it's that Muppet, literally that Muppet. So he's like, "There's toys, yay!" And he goes up a tower. And this is where you really get to see that the person who made this movie has no real original ideas. They scare the kid and he falls out of a tower. Like Bran from Game of Thrones falls out of a tower. Maybe this kid also saw Jaime and Cersei Lannister fucking. We don't know. He falls out of the tower. The lumberjacks realize, oh shit, we just killed a child with Down syndrome. Why were a bunch of adult men trying to scare a child when we should be mad at the father, not the child? Oh well, who cares? He's already dead. So they frame it to where it looks like an accident. And the father doesn't buy it. He's like, "My kid's too stupid to go up on a tower by himself. God damn it. I know you killed my fucking kid." And he tries to fight the lumberjacks and they kill the father. And then they say it was self-defense. And then and this is all being told in a campfire in the most boring way possible.
Those flatly shot scenes.
It's just a camera spinning around. So we're at the point in this movie where I can talk about this. There's no sound design in this movie. The filmmakers think you're stupid and they think they're clever. They're sitting there smoking weed and they're like, "What if we had no music or no sound effects and it was just like ambience, dude? What if it was just like the sounds of the forest? What's more scary than not hearing anything? That's so sick, dude." And there's no music, there's no sound effects, there's no stings, there's no John Carpenter-esque synth music.
Audience, the funnest part of watching this movie was the whole time Peter was making his own fake soundtrack for the movie.
I was making my own fake sound effects. I was going doom doom, doom doom. Just anything I could do. Bom 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 bom. Like just anything, because there's nothing happening. And listen, you think it's just music? You think you're just nitpicking. You don't get the style. No. There was bad Foley effects, sound effects, simple shit that's supposed to be in movies. Like when you swing a sword or you swing something, there should be a sound effect. There should be some sort of ambient sound effects that somebody makes in a studio. There's none of that. I'm getting ahead of myself, but when somebody swings an axe or swings something, you don't hear anything and it falls flat. How do you not know how important audio is in your film? Film is 70% audio, 30% image. And the fact that you would make it and then pat yourself on the back and be like, "We're subverting expectations. Everybody expects good sound effects, but what if our sound effects were fucking shitty, dude? That'd be so sick."
I hope you like the sounds of birds chirping and vague ambient music you listen to go to sleep.
Yeah, the shit you hear in a forest. Imagine hearing that. So anyway, we're at the campfire. They tell the origin story. I forgot to mention. So after the lumberjacks killed the father, mysteriously, all the lumberjacks are dead. Nobody knows what happened. Their bodies are discombobulated, limbs everywhere. Nobody knows what happens. The lumber company that owns it wants to cover it up. they pay off the police or something. The police just say it was bad food poisoning and everybody died, and then animals got in. But there's a witness who says one of the police officers says they saw a man wearing a mysterious mask that looks stupid. We'll get to that later. But yeah, he's wearing a mask and nobody knows what happened. So it's some stupid legend that's just there to set up the movie. The next shot is them leaving the campfire, and now they're going to. So instead of smoking weed at the campfire, they're now going to go to the cabin to smoke weed and fuck. Which, again, I have a feeling that this is like whoever made this movie, this is either like their real life, and they just don't understand how only when you're high and like talking to your friends are your dumb ideas for movies good. So they're at the cabin, and then what happens?
Then he listens to a conversation. It's really boring, and he follows one of the campers out to the woods.
Right.
And you see a very forced kill. One who doesn't cut away.
Well, you're right. So we're at the cabin. He's watching them, and we have another boring conversation. He's like, I have to go take a fat shit. I got to go take a shit, dude. And then the girl's like, really? You got to go take a shit? Are you sure you're not going to go to Are you sure you're not going to go to the gas station? The gas station we don't see, by the way. And try to fuck those two girls you were talking to? First of all, how do you know they're still there? Like, what kind of a gas station is that? How are you going to pull off fucking those women when you just met them? I don't know. So he's like, no, dude, I swear I'm going to take a fat shit. There's a giant turd in my butt and I'm going to squeeze it out of my ass. And then for some reason they start making fun of him because like getting pussy is something you make fun of someone for. And they're like, you're going to go get pussy. You're going to go get pussy. And he's like, no, I'm not.
I'm going to take a poo.
I'm going to shit. So then he goes and he takes a shit. And you were talking about the first kill.
Johnny somehow gets a rope and starts to strangle that douchebag taking a shit after he's done. And he pretty much karate chops, just grinds his head off. And you see his tongue flapping and his head falls forward.
So this is where we get into actually some positives of the movie, if I can say some positives. The gore is sort of this B-movie horror stuff, which is like Evil Dead. I thought it was kind of like a lot of fun at first, but unfortunately it wasn't enough to really keep me invested. But yes, this kill is cool. And if you are into horror, and if you like to just watch horror and just watch people get killed, this is actually pretty cool. So yeah, he cuts his head off with like a hook or something. He's like by a tree and then he like decapitates him. It's kind of hard to explain, but it is really cool.
And it's the best shots of the movie. Because the rest of the movie, you just follow Johnny walking around doing nothing. But in this shot, he's dragging a corpse in one hand and the head in the other. And even though it's a fake-looking head, it's such a creative concept for a scene. You allow it.
Yeah, and again, it feels like Dead by Daylight when you're the bad guy and you kill somebody and you're just over the shoulder, you're just carrying somebody. Couldn't be more bored. He goes to the ranger's office for some reason and he finds the dumbest looking mask I've ever seen. It looks stupid. It's not again, bad sound design, bad music scoring, bad props. The mask is dumb, but he goes and he gets the mask, and then just like cut to day, right?
How he gets the mask is he throws the corpse into the glass. One of the funniest parts of the movie.
Right, he throws the corpse into the glass. He grabs the mask, and then he puts on the mask, and then he turns into the mask of Jim Carrey, and he goes, "Somebody stop me!" or "Somebody stop this movie!" You know, PART. Why? And then, so yeah, that actually would have been cool, but no, he doesn't find the mask. He finds some like dumb leather, like brown leather mask with like big giant bespectacled eyes. It looks stupid. It looks nerdy. It looks dorky, and then they cut to daytime and they show the mask during daytime, which is like, look, when they made Jaws, they had a shitty shark prop. Steven Spielberg worked around that by not showing the shark or being creative. Same thing with the alien costume. They kept it in the dark. They kept it in certain lighting. You know, the filmmakers who made this are too lazy to either correct the lighting or they're too stupid to realize it's a bad idea to have your main villain in just what looks like made for daytime TV lighting. And again, smoking weed. Dude, what if like he's wearing the mask and it's just like daytime and someone's like, maybe we should have better lighting because it'll make the movie better. And they're like, no, no, they're expecting that. We're smarter than the people who watch movies because we make them. And I took a film class and I read in a film that you're supposed to show, not tell. That's something you're supposed to do. Yeah. So, we have this shot in the daytime, and then this is really where the movie is an hour and 33 minutes. You have to understand is that they didn't have enough to finish the movie, and so they padded out with just long, meandering, dull, pointless, don't add anything to the movie scenes, right? And we have that sexy shot of the ladies by the lake. Oh, by the way, this is supposed to pay homage to horror movies. No nudity. Hello. Show me some tits. Show me some dicks. Show me some buttholes. Come on, people. I want to see titties. Look, show me a man's cock. I want to see a nice cock, flaccid but chubby. You know,
It don't need to be so
not
bullshit.
hard but getting hard.
Show men be naked. All the whole
Show men be naked, baby. I want to see people fuck. Okay. Look, I'm all in for murder, but you know, like. Again, so we have like a lake scene. He's watching these two women. And again, it's like, dude, we're going to show. Because again, these people read film books and they know that horror movies are about voyeurism. So you have a voyeuristic shot over the shoulder of the killer Johnny watching two women in a lake. And it's like, dude, we finally see it. And it's about subverting expectations and about objectifying women and all these smart things. The guy smokes enough weed to know how to be smart, but he's too stupid to actually make it good.
Unfortunately, this movie is as shallow as the grave the character came from.
Yeah, in The Shining, there is a shot where Danny is on a big wheel and he's going down the hallway of the overlook and he stops when he sees the two little girls that are far off. There's more tension in that scene than there is in this entire movie.
Well, another classic shot is in Friday the 13th of Halloween when he has Michael Myers outside. It's shot flat, but it cuts to a close-up and it cuts back. He's editing.
And Friday the 13th has good music and sound design because it was made by good filmmakers. So we watch these two women swim at a lake. And again, lazy filmmaking. They have Johnny go underwater and you don't see him.
I get what they're going for.
I just want to add, if the filmmaker was good, we would still keep that over the shoulder shot while he's underwater. But that would require creativity, ingenuity. You'd have to get the camera wet. And we're not going to do that. We're smoking weed at a cabin making a movie. We're not trying to make anything good. We're just trying to impress our parents and let them know that they didn't waste their money sending us to film school. So we don't get that fun shot. What happens?
This one is a few times where I think it almost worked. Is a flat shot. You see Johnny disappear into the water, but you don't know where he is. It can also almost be tension in a way because you know he's going to go to the goal and kill her, but you don't know where he is. But if this movie was smart, you would actually had shots of him in the water to let you know that he's getting closer and closer to build up that tension, but it doesn't. It just happens out of nowhere, and it could have been worked well, but it wasn't executed properly.
Right. So he kills the girl under the water. You don't get to see it. There's no gore. He just kills her. And then I can't even remember. We just watched this movie, came to film it, and I'm already forgetting it. I can't remember what, and I'm not stoned. I didn't smoke weed. I actually had coffee iced coffee while I'm watching this. And I can't remember what he does with the body.
Is that they imply that he's drowning her and murdering her. But as soon as she becomes a corpse, you see her corpse float to the surface.
And then,
which is kind of creepy in a way if it was shot better.
Yeah, and then if there was music. There's no music. It's just everything's at a wide shot. And the reason why it's at a wide shot is to, number one, subvert your expectations because they're smart. And number two, it's because they're lazy. And you can tell a big story with just one wide shot. And what's good about a wide shot is that you can get it in one take. So you don't have to do takes with multiple shots because filmmaking's hard. You have to go out there and you have to talk to these dumb actors. So let's just get it all in one shot. No music, no sound effects. Sure, the audience is bored, but at least it's easy for me to make it.
Let's compare this to another low-budget horror movie. Evil Dead 2 has so many
Let's
creative
compare it
shots.
to It Follows. I'm sorry, Evil Dead. Yeah.
And also It Follows, because
And
It
It
Follows
Follows.
has a soundtrack that keeps you on edge.
Imagine if It Follows had no music and they're just like, and like no good sound effects, just people walking, no music. Let's be silent for a moment and imagine the It Follows creature walking. That's the entire movie of this of in a violent nature. You're gonna say about Evil Dead?
Evil Dead 2 has one of the most infamous shots in film history. The camera on the trolley going through the woods. Did that shot take a lot of money? No, but you know what it had? Creativity, effort.
What else does it have? Ooh, that sound effect. No sound in this movie. No sound shall be heard in this film, said the director. We are here to subvert expectations. Truly and honestly, it's whoever made this movie is maybe from Arrested Development when she comes up with the stupid ending for a movie of having the characters walk on water, and she's like, yeah, it's so stupid. People are going to think it's deep and they're not going to want to sound dumb, so they're going to say they like it. Literally, I can imagine the person doing that.
And after this, you have, honestly, the best kill in the whole movie, even if it's poorly done.
Okay, so yeah, the one of the girls who I thought was the good girl, I guess she's like a whore, because in every horror movie, there's the good girl who lives and there's the whores who die. Sex is evil, and if you have sex, you're gonna die. Scary, Scream. We all know that. She's doing yoga for some reason, for no reason, and go ahead and because you love this shit. Casey loves horror. This is his wheelhouse. I'm not a big fan of horror. I like scary movies with ghosts that are about metaphors. I like it when like it's about a ghost, but the ghost represents like your fear of commitment or something, like Hereditary or Babadook. But you actually like this shit.
I'm a fan of Saw. I like it when a guy's supposed to cut his leg off, or a guy has his head twisted in a circle to kill him.
So paint a picture.
This woman is looking ahead of her, doing yoga, and she thinks she heals her friend. Oh my God, Jessica, whatever. I can't believe you took so long. Turns around, oh my God, it's Johnny. And he punches his fist through her stomach like it's a scene from Invincible. It's the best way to describe it. And he thinks that would be it. No, he has like a hook, and he forces his hand through her stomach, puts the hook in her head, and pulls her head through the center of her body in one of the most over-the-top, amazing deaths ever. But unfortunately, it was shot by people who didn't know how to make a film.
It was shot in clear daylight, like it was made for TV. It was like watching Star Trek: The Next Generation with that kind of TV daylight, kind of on a wide. There's a few effect shots, and there's no music, so you're just listening to the ambience while you're watching this thing. It's a borderline. Look, the guy who made this is clearly a psychopath. The writer and director is Chris Nash. We got to get this guy off the streets, folks. We got to get this guy off the streets. He's insane. Not only should he not be allowed to make movies, he shouldn't be allowed to walk among us. He has these dark fantasies, and he doesn't. And it's one thing to have dark fantasies about murder, but he doesn't know how to film them, and that's unforgivable. You could be a serial killer, but just make good movies. That's all I ask.
Another weird part of the sound design is he's killing this chick, but she doesn't really scream at anyone. It's almost like she has no nerve cells. It's like, oh man, you punched a hole in my chest. She should have freaked out more, right? Was it just me?
I don't remember when that happened. So the next scene after he kills the girl in the yoga, he goes to the cabin, and this is where it really becomes Dead by Daylight. He does like some stealth video game move where he causes a distraction, which is like
he turns on a
listen,
car
Chris
horn.
Nash. Chris Nash. I want to fight you. I want to meet you in a Walmart parking lot, and I want to fight you, bro. You wasted an hour and 30 minutes of my life. It's so stupid. So Johnny the killer puts a stick on the on a horn for the car. The horn goes off. He walks in a circle. NPC energy. Someone goes, "What was that? I better go check it out." And he walks up and he goes, "Huh? Must have been nothing." Well, back to my patrol with my scripted walk path. The killer goes up. He like hits a guy. Bad sound design. Somebody throws an axe. There's no sound effect. It bounces off of it. Sounds like nothing. You can't hear anything. And then the killer gets shot by some guy, And this guy's a bad actor. So I'm sorry if it sounds incoherent. Let me explain. They go up to where the horn's being honked. They take the stick off. Johnny comes up. There's a fight. He hits one of the guys with an axe. Another guy comes up, shoots Johnny. Johnny, they think he's dead. And then the guy with the gun just goes, bad acting. He just goes, hey, are you good? Are you okay? Like, he should be acting. He should be like, oh my God, what is happening? This is real. Ah!
Instead, he's like, oh, that's nuts, bro.
That's nuts, bro. That's crazy. Damn, dude. What the hell? So then he like helps him up, and then Johnny gets up, and he, again, this is all shot on a, they're like fighting on the floor, and it's shot at a wide because it's hard to make fight scenes. You got to film them and then refilm them from points of views, and you got to get reaction shots. Let's just do a wide. Because we're deep, bro. We're subverting expectations.
Is this when it goes from a top-down look as it shows Johnny?
And then, again, they must have had access to a crane or something. And these are people who have access to film equipment but don't understand when or why you should use them. You don't just use them because it's cool, dog. There has to be a reason. So we go to it, again, like you said, it's like a over-the-head shot. We're looking at everything from a downward angle. And we see Johnny throw an axe. It apparently kills a guy. We can't see it. It happens off frame because, again, the filmmakers are evil and they want you to suffer. And then he kills the other guy by smashing his head in with a rock. It's all overhead. You can't really see much. At this point in the movie, I'm thinking about everything in my life that led to this moment, that led to me making a podcast. I'm thinking about Chris Nash, I think his name is. Listen, if anybody finds this guy on site, Chris Nash, it's on site. I'm assuming you're Steve Nash's brother. You should have begotten a basketball, not filmmaking.
This movie's the equivalent of watching basketball players dribble for like an hour, and there's like 3 shots, and that's like it.
That is the craziest metaphor of all time. That is the Chris Nash of metaphors. This movie is making us dumb.
It's all to talk about. Like there's like this occasional scenes of him meeting people.
This movie is like 3 zebras and a monkey, and then the monkey has a hat. That's my metaphor. Right, yeah. So they end up at the Rangers building for some reason, and we get the trope of explanations where we're like, so in Michael Myers, you have the doctor who's like, you don't understand. Michael Myers, he's pure evil. We have the ranger being like, you don't understand. You can't just give him back the necklace, which, by the way, they do. That's how it ends. So the ranger's an idiot. He's like, you can't just give him back the necklace. You don't understand. I've known him. I'm giving you some story.
And the best part is his ranger outfit just says ranger.
Oh, yes. There's a part where he's wearing... This is a best of the worst movie. The guy who's the ranger is wearing an outfit that just says ranger on it.
That's like if a doctor had a badge that said
doctor. Said doctor. Hello, I'm Dr. Medicine. I'm here to give you the cure. Like, so stupid. So the movie has no respect for you or itself. This movie is the equivalent of like a really slutty girl that sleeps with you, but also cuts herself and tells you boring stories about how her dad didn't love her enough. This is a movie made by somebody who has only read about personalities but never figured out how to develop one.
So Ranger McFenley shoots Johnny. He's on the ground, and he said, my dad took down Johnny. It's my job to take down Johnny. And he knows that this guy's nearly invincible, and he chooses to walk up to him. Like, what do you think is going to happen when you get close to this indestructible zombie man?
Right, and something happens, like Johnny he like paralyzes the ranger, and we have this, again, no sound effects, so we're just slowly watching a guy get dragged to this like fake, I'm assuming made for the movie wood chopping device. This wood chopping machine is so fucking slow. It chops, it would be easier for you just to chop the wood yourself. It chops like one piece of wood every 5 minutes. It makes no, and it's not like big logs. It's like logs you put like in a cabin fire, like the ones you could buy at the store. It's like some small log. and then it just a slow axe that takes, and you have to just sit there and just watch it. And I'm looking at Chris Nash, and I know he's laughing at me, and that's why, motherfucker, if I find you, it's on sight, dog.
And this is when sound design wheels its ugly head again. Because in a good movie, before you even get close to the wood chopping device, you'd hear an ambient hum of a machine that
You'd
gets
hear
louder
something.
and louder and more terrifying. But no, it's just a flat sound and take it
Yeah.
into the same room with it, and it's slightly louder.
All right, so we're getting to the 40-minute mark, so let's kind of wrap up. We're gonna go a little quicker. Johnny
Kills this man.
paralyzes the guy. He chops off one arm, realizes that's too boring, and then he cuts his head off. He can't move. Again, it's a guy smoking weed. Like, what if you were paralyzed and you couldn't move, and then someone just started chopping off your limbs? Dude, that'd be so fucking sick. And then the girl he's trying to fuck is like, oh my god, that's so scary. Stop. You're scaring me. Oh my god. Oh my god, protect me. And, you know, he fucks her. And then, look, the guy who made this, to his credit, has follow through. But the problem is he doesn't have the intelligence or the ability to make a good movie. And he has too much confidence and a little self-doubt. A little more reliance on things that have already been established and work would have gone a long way. But the movie's beyond fixing because the premise is so stupid. It's literally the most base level subversion of expectations. It's somebody thinking they're smart because they had breakfast for dinner.
And one of my favorite scenes of the movie is you have you two characters left, and the guy tells the girl, all right, I'm going to distract Johnny. I'm going to go out of my way to get his attention, and you run away. And as soon as this guy pops his head up, Johnny bashes his head in, instantly kills him.
Bashes his head in. There's not much sound effects. It's all shot on a wide. There's no way to appreciate it. The woman is just watching him with no emotion because she's either a bad actor or got bad directing from Chris Nash. And then she just leaves the necklace. Oh, there's a gas container they have, and like if you didn't already think this was a Dead by Daylight homage or movie that was inspired by that, there you go. In the game Dead by Daylight, you have to get gas containers, and in this movie, you have gas containers. It's stupid. She leaves the necklace, even though the ranger told her that's not how you defeat him or that's not going to work. She leaves the necklace, and then now it's just a shot of her walking. This movie is an hour and a half, and there's a lot of shots of people walking because they needed to pad out the time. Because when they were done with it, they realized they didn't have enough for a complete movie. They probably barely had an hour. This should have been something you post on YouTube, but somehow it became a full hour 30 movie. So now for like 5 minutes, you're just watching, or what feels like 5 minutes, you're watching a woman walk in a forest trying to get to the road. She gets to the road and she stops a car, which is supposed to be a clever homage to the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the original. Because again, this guy saw movies. He's smart.
And speaking of padding, this entire next scene could have been cut from the whole movie. Or at least 90% of it could have been edited out, and you'd have been fine.
This is the worst part of the movie. A woman picks up the last survivor, the only woman who survives, and she goes on the longest talking bit I've ever seen. She starts talking about a bear and a guy, and it just... So they're in a car. She's safe now, and this is like the relieving of tension. This is where you want to wrap up your movie. And then this old woman's like, "Did I ever tell you about the time when a cousin of mine found a bear?" The main character is in shock because all of her friends are dead, that she's not listening. But I feel like this character, I'm not the main character, the last surviving woman. She's in shock. She's not listening, and neither is the audience. You are that woman. Like it's this movie, to its credit, accurately portrays what it's like when someone keeps talking and you're not listening, and they're just talking and ranting and they're just blah 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 blah, and then at the end you just go, "Damn, dude, that's crazy." Like literally, she's just dead-eyed staring at the road, and this woman is just talking and talking, and you're so bored and you're so upset that you're not listening either, because you're like, everything else in this movie was a waste of fucking time. I'm just getting to this point just so I can say I finished the film.
And the whole point of the speech is that animals do animal things, and that Johnny was just
and Johnny is like an animal. The dangerous animal is man. Wow, we've really seen movies. We've read books on movies. And then again, they need to pad the movie. This is why they put this in here. For some reason, the woman. This is a best of the worst movie. For some reason, the woman has to stop her car and she has to put a tourniquet on the woman's leg because she's bleeding and she's gonna bleed out. And the woman looks around like, don't stop the car because the killer's gonna get us. But then nothing happens. And then we cut to the last scene of the movie, which is where the woman leaves the necklace, and the necklace is gone, and the killer's gone. The end. No refunds.
You know, I would have ended this movie. I would have it. Well, maybe the main goal goes crazy, kills the ghost, telling the long story. Maybe her long story drives so insane,
Or
and
maybe
just,
like she's so frantic, she's like, you don't understand, we can't stop. If we stop, I'm gonna die. So she kills her in the attempt to get away. That would have been a good subversion. The last survivor becoming the murderer.
and it would have made maybe an overall theme of the violent nature, of a violent nature inside all of us. But it doesn't really talk about it often enough to have it be a theme. You have the opening Formal, who's all tough, but as soon as Johnny comes to fight him, oh my god, he's scared. But that only happens once. It doesn't really come up again. You have to question, what's the point of this movie? What's the point of that hour and a half I wasted?
So that's the movie. Casey, your final thoughts.
Watch the kills on the YouTube compilation, and that's all you need to do.
My final thoughts of this movie, I am reminded of the speech by Macbeth near the end of the movie in Act 17, verse 402069. To reference this movie, I will just say, tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow creeps into a petty pace this film until the last minute of the recorded time. Out, bad movie. It is a tale told by a jackass, full of bad sound design, bad music scoring, questionable cinematography. A story told by an idiot, full of sound and fury, signifying nothing. This movie is just a big sound and fury signifying nothing. It is a movie of nothing. Watch Abigail, a much better film. To this movie's credit, it's given me a much better appreciation for Abigail because holy shit, it could always be worse. Well, folks, that's our review of this movie. I hope you enjoyed it. Casey, anything to say?
My name is Casey, and I like the movies.
Okay, bye-bye.